Good morning or afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Silver Silk Workshop Week. My name is Nilay Patel. I'm the owner, designer, and educator here at Silver Silk and more. And today I'm going to be teaching you how to make a quick and fun and fabulous project using some of these wonderful components. I get to wire wrap with beading wire, something that I feel like I hardly ever do or get to teach. And this was a perfect excuse to do it. But we're going to wire wrap a donut using beading wire and some check glass crystals. And we're going to attach everything together using flat mesh as our necklace rope. So this is going to be super fun, super mixed media in a way, in the best way possible, I think, because it combines some of my favorite materials together into a cohesive design. And I think it's just that really great transitional color between not spring, I'm sorry, summer and fall. You get that beautiful burgundy tone to it. So what I think I'm going to do is flash a quick graphic of the project, and I can see some of my friends already tuning in as well. So before I do that, I'm going to say hi to some folks because I can't help myself. Miss Jennifer is here. Hi, Jennifer. And Sherry is tuned in. We got Miss Lorena is here. We got so many people just popping in. So it's just come and say hi. And hi, Lisa and Stephanie. Good morning to you. Janet's here too. So just come in and say hi, Leanne, and we'll just get the party going here with our workshop week, right? So here is what we're going to be making for our first project. And I'm going to go through the kit first and then talk about the materials a little bit, and then we'll get into the construction. The construction is actually very easy, so it won't take too long, luckily. But even before I get to the kit, let's talk about the tools that you'll need, because here I've got a pair of wide nose flat pliers, and these have a coating of Tool Magic on it. So they're a little worn on my pliers because I've used these quite a bit. But what Tool Magic is a silicone coating that you can apply to your tips, to the tips of your pliers. And once it sort of cures and dries, it becomes a nice silicone rubber tip there, so that you can easily crimp any of your findings without having to worry about it scratching or flinging across the room. The rubber coating helps it to have a really good grip. And it's just a really great tool to have. So I recommend grabbing a pair of wide nose pliers if you can, and coating them with Tool Magic. Next up, I have a pair of round nose pliers. These are going to be great for making simple loops as well as wire wrap loops. I have got a pair of chain nose pliers, and these are perfect for just about everything. They're like a third hand almost, or just mini hands, I guess, because I'm going to be using it with a pair of my own hands. But they're really great for just that tapered little edge there at the end and getting into all sorts of spaces that your fingers can't normally get into, right? I've also got a pair of magical crimpers and some regular crimpers for the crimp tubes that we'll be using later on in this design. It really is no preferred method. I would say for me, I enjoy using the magical crimpers the most. They just leave the crimp looking more like a spacer. However, I do enjoy the security of a regular crimper as well. Once you know that you've crimped it, you can really tell that it's going to hold very well. But they're both very secure. They're both easy tools to use and have. So whichever your preferred method is, just pick a crimper and have it on hand. And then, of course, I've just got a pair of wire cutters. These are perfect for cutting just about everything. I shouldn't cut memory wire with it, but I have before, and they still have stayed sharp, luckily. So just have yourself a really slick and good pair of craft cutters on hand, but don't use it all the time for memory wire because that's just a bad idea. Hi, Gail and Anastasia. Hi, Lynn. Hope you guys are enjoying some warm, beautiful weather. Hi, Marianne Doy from Arizona, and Carrie is here from Hawaii. It's like one big reunion all the time. I just love seeing your guys' names pop in. So let's get to the kit because I am loving all the stuff that I got to pack for this. You got all the parts and pieces. There is nothing that you'll need outside of the kit, other than the fact that if you want to embellish with even more beads, that's totally up to you. Anastasia is asking, "Hello, I'm in your live from the beginning. Do you sell the do you sell the first tools that you showed?" And I actually don't sell the tools. I just do the knitted wire, but the tools are actually from a company named Weber's, Wbbers. You may want to check them out. I really enjoy their tools. They're very high quality. Okay, so whatever you want to add to this project, and I'll show you some examples of where some ideas might lie with adding extra beads or some extra pizzazz to your design. But the foundation of the materials are right here. So you get a couple feet of soft flex beading wire. This is in the antique copper color. And this is the medium size, which is perfect for exposing the wire and really showing it off, especially if you got the colored beading wires on in your own personal stash there. I know I do. But I wanted to find a color that was going to resemble wire and still be able to be easily, I don't know, workable like string almost. So this is where I picked out the color from. And this medium size is perfect for all sorts of different size and weights of beads too. So you can get something that's as small and delicate as these 4 millimeter check glass that we'll be using, all the way to like larger stone pieces that are around, I don't know, 15, 20 millimeters that have a little bit of weight to it. So I just generally enjoy using the medium size of Softflex beading wire, and it's just a wonderful company that makes quality beading wire. So I included that in our kit. I mentioned the check glass beads. And then I've got some 22 gauge wire, and I included about, I think, a foot of this. So we'll be using this for our embellishments. This is also from Softflex Company. They make a craft wire as well, and they carry different gauges and different colors. And again, this one is a 22 gauge in copper color. Very, very soft. Again, very high quality. It is tarnish resistant, which I really appreciate, and just as a nice compliment to the knitted wire that I carry. Outside of that, I've got this beautiful stone donut. What was great about this particular kit is that each donut was different from all the different kits that were made for this project. So whatever donut you got, it's a specialty. There's not one out there like it, and all the inclusions and patterns and stuff, it's very unique to its own little pendant there. So if you love your donut, which I hope you do, that is truly your own one of a kind. And let's see, I got some remnant beads here. You get a clasp and a few jump rings to work with, so you don't need a clasp or closure at the end. I included the lobster. To me, it's the most neutral type of clasp to include. But if you wanted to switch it out to a toggle or a magnetic clasp that you might have in your own stash, just use the antique copper color if you're wanting to match everything. And then finally, I have some crimps. So you'll have received 4 of a kind, and then one that's sort of a little bit different, but still within the copper family. So in this case, I have the antique copper color crimps. These are specifically used for flat mesh, and they have little teeth on the inside that when you crimp it, it grips onto the chain, and so it'll never come out ever again. I have taken it apart before, but it takes a little bit of work. But these have a very good permanent hold if you are wanting to have something that is very secure. I highly recommend my own crimps for the flat mesh. And you get 4 in a regular set, but in this case, I included 5 in your kit. One will be used to create our little embellishment on the bottom of the donut, as you saw in the picture earlier. So that's why that crimp looks a little different, but it is in the copper family, so it all matches. All right, which brings me to the flat mesh. This is the dark rose color, which is a beautiful, almost an antique copper color, but it's got a very noticeable red tint to it. Again, giving that dark rose, mysterious color feel to it, I think. So I could have included the exact amount that you needed for the kit, but I love you guys a lot. So I was like, let me throw in the full 5-foot spool. That's right, you get 5 feet of this mesh that you can use for whatever you want. So that if you wanted to make a matching pair of earrings or a matching bracelet with your necklace design, you can absolutely do that with the leftover. And trust me, you'll have plenty left over with this. All right, so that's sort of the materials for this. Let's get into some construction. So I'm gonna set my stuff out here to the side. Oh, and you also get crimps, which I think we're hiding in here. So be sure to really empty out your bag whenever you get it, and you'll have some spare parts in there that you might have missed, because I certainly did. But you do get crimps with this design too, because you'll need a couple of 2 millimeter crimps, also from Softlex Company, because they manufacture the most high quality crimps out there. I'll pack that away later because we're less interested in me packing and more interested in me constructing, right? So let's put these to the side. Alrighty, so I sort of have my materials out here kind of set up and ready to go. And so what I want to do is start with my pendant first. I've got this beautiful donut that has a wonderful pattern on it. So I think what I want to do is sort of turn it on its side and focus on the top part for my beading. So what I'm going to do is start by creating a little loop here at the very top of my beading wire. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and straighten out my beading wire. I'm going to grab a little 2 millimeter crimp, which looks like this. If I can grab it with my finger here. I'm going to string that right through, and I'm going to go ahead and make myself a little loop. You'll have to pass it in twice. The copper colored crimps seem to have a very thick wall, so it might take a little bit of finagling to get it through, but you can absolutely do it. I want to make sure that my loop is on the smaller side. So we're going to do about, I would say maybe a 2 millimeter loop there. It's very tiny and very discreet. But this is going to be just big enough to have everything connect together with a jump ring, but not be so showy or so big that it's out of proportion with your design. So once I've done that, I can grab either my magical crimpers or my regular crimpers and go ahead and crimp the end here. I'm going to use my magical crimpers because I'm just kind of I'm in a magical mood today. So I'm going to press it down once. And as my friends from Softlex Company would say, you get a nice little pocketed ravioli there. And once you've done that, what that means is that also this little round, almost cylindrical crimp flattens itself into something that looks like a pinched square, so that there's a nice fat middle there, and then each of these corners are pinched in, so it resembles a little bit of a ravioli, if you will. And what I'm going to do is turn it on its side, and I'm going to once again crimp in the same divot. The magical crimpers only have really one divot, so you kind of just pinch it around and around until it starts to become a bead. And you can definitely feel whenever it gets crimped as such. So then you just tug on it a little bit. You could see that that formed really nicely into a round crimp, according to my focus there. So that looks pretty good. And what I'm going to do is I am going to string on a 2 millimeter bead. You can go ahead and unstring your beads that you received in the kit and kind of just have them on the table. What I'm going to do is actually take it from the underside of my donut, and I'm going to string through my donut. And then I'm going to actually loop it back up through my bead there. Okay, so that you have basically looped it once on the donut as such. I'm going to hold it up so you guys can kind of see it. And what I'm going to do now is just pull it tight. Your donut will want to shift around a little, and that's perfectly okay. You can definitely reposition it later if you want a certain spot to look like it's intentionally positioned that way. So what I'm going to do now is, after I pulled it tight, this is where I think the magic really happens. You're going to string on 2 beads. 1, 2. And you're going to do the exact same thing again, except you're going to skip that middle bead there. So this one here, what I'm going to do is go from the back up through the front, string it all the way through, and then I'm going to go through up through that last bead. Maybe. No, I will. I'm going to do it. You know what, though? I will say that if you cut the end at a slight taper, it will probably be easier to string through, um, as in the case there. And these beads are all different too, as far as what the hole size is gonna do. So some might be a little bit of a tighter squeeze, and some might be a little bit of an easier squeeze through it. So kind of just have to feel it out. But otherwise, they should all be able to fit through twice without any problem. So now I'm just gonna tighten it up as such. And you kind of just continue the same pattern. So I'm gonna do this again. I'm going to pick up the beads that are now rolling around all over my table. Guys, I really should know better to have a bead tray or something with me. I always forget though, and I get excited that I've just got a big table to work with, but whatever. I'm going to go through the backside after stringing through of two of these check glass beads and then just string right through. You can see that one was much easier to string through than the last one, but that's perfectly fine. Just kind of weave all of it nice and very closely together now, and you get this beautiful sort of weave at the top. So I think in my example, I had about 5 woven rounds, but you could do as many as you want because you have a lot of beads to work with. Let's do this. Okay, again, coming from the back to the front. And then just go through that last bead. You could switch up this pattern by using different beads. So this is one of your design options, right? If you have beads at home that you'd love to use up with this design, you could insert in larger beads at the top, and that would give you a completely different look. It would be super cool, I think, because you get this really nice wide spacing between your wire that's happening. And what I also love about this piece is I was mentioning that the wire is exposed. So if you do have different colored beading wire from Softlex Company available in your stash, and you're not hoarding it and you do want to use it up, you can definitely swap out the colors and really show it off with this design. We all hoard. Like let's just get that out there. I mean, I hoard stuff. I've been recently going through my inventory, my personal inventory, and in fact making some bead grab bags again. So if you want to hop over to my website, silversilkonline.com, I also uploaded some extra knitted wire grab bags. Not very many, but I was able to make a good handful of them. So if you love my grab bags from before, they are back there again. I've also got, might be a little rebellious and do a couple more this time while I'm talking about it. I've also got a clearance section now going on again. I did this last time and then kind of removed it for a while, and then I'm back to clearancing. And then I added some additional knitted wire colors to that clearance section. So if you're looking for silver silk, and if you're wanting to use it for the first time and not have to make a larger investment, then you could certainly hit it up in the clearance section and get some really good deals on the knitted wire. All right, so there's 6. I might stop at 6 because I kind of like how like nice and fanned out that looks. So one thing I want to make sure is that my loop is facing up. So if your loop is kind of off to the side there, make sure you just kind of work it to where it sort of sits face up there. So that's perfect. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and think about ending my beading wire here. And clearly, I've got lots of beading wire to work with if I wanted to switch out some of the decorations that we're going to apply at the bottom of our design. So I'll show you guys what I mean here in a second. But I'm just going to string my crimp on and then go back through the crimp to make myself another little loop. Here's where it gets a little tricky because I have to now kind of configure my space here that I'm allowing to myself to crimp to accommodate my crimpers. So firstly, I want to get to a size in my loop that's going to match and mirror this size. So let's do this first and get it nice and taut. So that looks really good. It's fairly equal, maybe a teeny bit smaller, but that's all right. You can kind of, again, just kind of wiggle it around and tug on the beading wire a little bit to get it to match. So that looks really good. So let's see if our crimpers are going to fit in there. And it looks like it'll be, oh, just barely enough. So that works for me. Okay, so you just kind of move it around and around. Perfect. Give it a good tug. Make sure that nothing's going to come out or move or shift on you. And then you can simply just take your cutters and snip it right off. There we go. So now that the top part is finished, we got to focus on the bottom side. So what I'm going to do is grab the crimp that I had that was different from the other set of 4. So in your set, if you received 4 antique copper ones, as in the kit that I showed you earlier, you want to grab the one that looks different. In this case, it was a shiny copper. And then in the kit that I was working with, it was actually the other way around. I had 4 very shiny crimps to end my necklace rope with, and then I gave myself 1 antique copper dull colored crimp. So look for that one that's different from all of them. And then I'm going to grab my knitted wire, and I'm going to create a nice little like drop basically down here below just by folding it in half and kind of marking it, creasing it with my fingers. I just want about 3 millimeters of extra knitted wire there. Not very much to work with. And as you're holding it, so you can kind of line them up, you can then just trim it off at the same spot. You'll get a few of these little wire particles that kind of burst out there. But you can grab your chain nose pliers and just kind of pluck them off. Many of you recognize this, that I call it a wire fuzzy, because they're just little fuzzies that come on the wire like that. I haven't come up with a better name, but it's also the one that's stuck. So I just call them wire fuzzies. So just take your time and kind of pluck them off. And then I'm going to grab my crimp, make sure that these are very close together because we do not want to miss our crimping at all on this part. It's probably the toughest crimp, but the rest of it's very easy. Only because you're trying to get 2 of them in there at the same time. And once you do, you can kind of keep it on hold there. Or you can grab it with your flat nose pliers here, like this, and then gather them both, and then just insert them both in, and then go ahead and squeeze. Squeeze. There we go. And I say whatever side that the logo is up is the front-facing side. Luckily, I got it on the right side because my beautiful inclusion on my donut is on the front side and not so much the back side. So something to pay attention to there as you're working on this is to make sure that your logo is face up. Or if you want it all face down, that's fine too. It won't hurt my feelings, I promise. But there we go. So now I've got a nice little drop that adds to my multi-textural design here. And for me, I see it as an opportunity to embellish something extra, right? So what I can do at this point is I can either grab some more crimps from my personal stash and do something fun with the beading wire, or I included some 22 gauge, or is this? Yeah, this is 22 gauge in your kit. And you can use that to create your own head pins or embellishments of sorts. So in the example design, I made a ton of extra little head pins and kind of just stuck them directly to my loop there. So in this example, I think to kind of get the point across, I'm going to do a smaller decorative pin, just to kind of give us a little bit something different here to look at. So what I'm going to do is grab my round nose pliers, and I'm just going to work with doing a knotted head pin, which means all you do is you just create a very discreet round loop here, and I looped it twice. I coiled it twice on my wire at the very end. I want to be sure that I do work with the entire piece of wire only because I can get the most wire out of my usage. If I start to cut it up now, I won't be able to really utilize all of my wire there. So I just pulled it right through my little loop that I created, and this creates a nice little, basically like a nice little discrete knot at the end that you can use as a makeshift head pin. And you can string on as many beads to your heart's content as you want. I think for this one, I'm going to keep it pretty short. I'm going to do 3 beads for fun. And what I'm going to do is cut it off now, but I'm going to give myself, well, actually, no, I don't have to cut it off now. I do not have to. I have an idea. I'm going to grab it with my chain nose pliers, and I'm just going to create myself a 90-degree angle bend. The reason is I can create a wire wrap loop and still be able to save all that wire. So once I've created that crease in my wire, I'm going to reposition it back into my round nose pliers, and I'm going to just work that wire all the way onto the other side, switch positioning of my round nose pliers, and then continue to form my loop. This will give me an overlapping wire, as you can kind of see there, from where my stem is. My stem is where I'm going to wrap all of my extra little bit of wire with, but I don't want to do it just yet. I can either do one of 2 things. I can either grab a jump ring, which I have here, and I can go ahead and wire wrap it directly to it, or I can wire wrap it directly to my pendant. That choice is entirely up to you guys. There's really no right or wrong way. I'm going to go ahead and just do it directly to the pendant, just for kicks. And in fact, I think that's how I did it on the last one too, or my example piece, really. So you can kind of just slide that right in there carefully. And then once you have it sort of positioned there, I can grab it with my chain nose pliers. And then just kind of continue to wrap my extra bit of wire there around the stem. So it just creates a nice little bobble. Very easy to do. You got lots of beads to work with. Here, again, if you want to use your own beads and kind of mix things up and, get rid of some of maybe those burgundy colors or some other whites or creams that you might have, this is a good opportunity to do that. Just for some extra color, because extra color is what it's all about, right? Got to celebrate all the adornment if you're going to wear jewelry. Alrighty, so I'm going to do another quick one because I had mentioned I was going to do 3. And then we are just going to kind of attach everything together. I'm going to do this one a lot faster so that we have plenty of time to work on our necklace rope. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. You could even stagger these and do 3. You could do 5 on another one, and then maybe like 2, so that you got sort of a tapered tassel. If I do all 3 of them the same, they're going to look very blunt, but they're going to bunch together very nicely. So it just depends on what kind of look you're going for. There's no right or wrong answer, of course. It is totally up to you. What feels good, what looks good, what you think might help you grow as a designer, and just to try new things is always something that I'm about. Okay, there we go. Just slid that right on. What I also like about the idea of wrapping directly to the pendant is that it's not going to fall off later. And I love jump rings. It's just really finding the right jump ring with the right security and all that good jazz, so that later on that it's not going to fall apart. And sometimes that can be tricky just depending on what company is selling what as far as jump rings go. And I think at the end of the day, though, I still prefer the extra bit of security. So if, for me, feeling good about directly attaching it to my pendant is the right answer for me, that's what I'm going to go with. Okay. Last one here. I hope you guys are making this at home too, for those of you that did grab this kit. And if you do, maybe Joan can flash a couple of questions if anybody has any. And I haven't been looking at my comments because I'm a bad boy. But Joan's helping me in the background, so she's answering questions for you guys too. So thank you, Joan. We can all give her some snaps, please. Some digital snaps for helping us out. All right. Okay, there we go. Just got myself a nice little easy knot there. And my third check glass, so that looks really good. And let's go ahead and make our little wire wrapped loop nice and easy. Once you start to do a bunch of these in life and you get some practice, this just becomes second nature, really. I do it pretty quickly, but I know there's a lot of beginner level still jewelry makers out there that are needing some extra tutorial. So I try and cover this, and I will be in my other tutorials more in depth as we go along. So if you're going to join me for this full week of workshops, which is all absolutely free, you just have to grab a kit. You could have grabbed one earlier, but that's okay. You could still grab the kit later on and make it by watching a replay. But this is going to be a very educational week if you're really into jewelry making and wanting to join all the classes. I just sent out an e-blast that had all the class links to it as well. So hopefully you guys got those. All right, so I just got a cute little tassel, no big deal. It's just a little extra bit of a statement there. So now what I could do is go ahead and focus on getting the necklace part, the neck rope of my necklace done. So I have here one rope that is already finished with my crimps. So I need to do the other side with you guys. I'm going to use the same measurement. Offhand, I believe it's about 10 inches. I think I had my ruler here a second ago. Oh, here it is. So that's 6, 7. Yep, it is 10 inches on the dot, so that's good. And you can, of course, adjust this however you want to. If you want a tighter necklace or a pendant that sits higher, you can obviously cut it a little shorter. Or if you want something that hangs a little lower, then you can just give yourself a couple of extra inches of the flat mesh. In this case, I think I should be okay with the 10 if I'm going to gift it to some lucky customer out there at some point. Because I've been giving away a lot of jewelry for fun. I've been stockpiling, but I know many of my folks and customers and friends out there enjoy what they have labeled a Nile original. All right, so I'm going to take my flat mesh. One thing I want to do is make sure that there are no extra little wire remnants or bits there at the end. And if there are, just go ahead and pluck those off. They get in the way of crimping, and we want to be sure that we crimp the most nice and strong and clean crimp that we can possibly do. So I'm just going to now put my crimp right over it, making sure that the flat mesh is right inside of it, that it's inside that channel. And then what I'm going to do is give it a good press. Once I've done that, I can kind of make sure, just tug on it, that it's not going to come out. You want to make sure that also that seam is closed and that there's no space or gap between there. And that's pretty much it. That's all you do for the crimp. There's no glue required and no additional tools outside of your wide nose pliers. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Real quick, I want to make sure that my logo, again, is face up on both sides. That's just a little extra design for you because these don't have the stamping on both ends. But if you're really paying attention to how you do jewelry and not wanting to cut those extra short corners or, or take shortcuts, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Those little details do make a huge difference, especially for those of you that enjoy selling your jewelry. And giving it that extra bit of detail is going to go a long way for your consumer. So again, just go ahead and insert it right in. Grab your wide nose pliers and squeeze. Very nice and easy. Give it a tug. Make sure that nothing's going to come out. And at this point, I can use my jump rings from the kit to go ahead and attach everything. So let's see. I need my chain nose pliers. And I'm just going to grab my crimped flat mesh and my pendant, and I'm going to attach that together. Again, just making sure that if my logo is face up on my pendant, I want my logo face up on my necklace ropes. If you have a bit of a gap, all you do in your jump ring, if you have a bit of a gap in your jump ring, which I do, you kind of just take a couple pliers and then you sort of walk them toward each other, the two edges. And you'll notice that when you kind of rotate them back and forth and adjust them, that your seam will close without too much, it doesn't lose its shape, right? It's not going to get bent up if you're walking it back and forth. It's sort of an easier way to guide them to get together. Sounds almost like a love story, isn't it? I feel like that's where we were going with it, but. All right, so do the same thing on this side. And I want to make sure that I can string this through. There we go. All right, same thing here. I'm just going to grab both ends with my chain nose pliers and then walk it toward each other to close up that gap. Nice and easy. And then on the other end, I think I just have to attach my clasp together, and that pretty much completes the design for our necklace. This is so fun. And once you kind of cut everything up, you have so much extra chain to work with. I believe I had a remnant piece actually, so this is like just a remnant bit, but you get all 5 feet to work with, whether you want to use it all in the necklace or want to make some extra pieces of jewelry with it. But I just love this. It's a beautiful way to showcase a donut. And if you do have, again, colored beading wire, it's a great way to use it up in such a fun fashion, I think. And lots of great beads if you wanted to put them on there from your own stash, or just use the beads from the kit, of course, too. So I really love this design. I'm going to scroll through to see if we have any quick questions. Lily is saying, love this design. Thank you, Lily. Appreciate that. Joan is on the back end saying that necklace is so gorgeous. Thanks, Nile. Of course. Thank you, Joan. And absolutely a love story, says Lorena. Jump rings, they have to meet together. I'm saying, I think magic will happen. Let's see. Scrolling through some questions real quick. I don't see many, so hopefully I've been teaching this class to the best of my capability and that you guys are learning some fun ways to use the flat mesh, which, by the way, comes in now 9 different colors. And this is an all-new knit from what you saw from the previous line of flat mesh. Jennifer says, love the extra beads too. I think that was a really fun way to include some extra beads. And Soft Flex is here too, always in spirit. I love it. This looks so fun. Thank you guys. I appreciate appreciate you guys popping in and joining us for a little bit. All right. So I guess we can all sort of pop off for a quick and early lunch. In my case, a later lunch, but that's all right, right? It was totally worth it to do some beading and to hang out with you guys. And I can't wait for the next class, which is going to be this evening. And we are going to be making the Desert Dream Cuff. This is one of my favorite pieces. Well, actually, all of these are. But I really enjoyed this cuff for many reasons. It's so quick and easy to put together. It doesn't take many materials. And the fact that I get to use a pearlesque chain and a slightly different weaving technique that I'm going to show you guys that will actually cut the work in half for assembling this design. If you have made it in the past with me, we all know like that was a fun process, and I think I just made it even better this time around. So I'm really looking forward to it, and it'll be just another way for us to get together and do some beading later tonight. So let me swap myself around here and just say thank you guys so much for joining in. Again, I do have clearance items available now on silversilkonline.com from now through the end of the week. After that, the tab will just disappear. There'll be no more clearance after that. And then you can also grab some grab bags if you're wanting to stock up on your silver silk. And it's just going to be a fun week spending some time with each other. So I'll see you in the next class this evening, and stay creative, and let us know in the Silkies group if you do finish this design and post it. All right, I'll get you guys later. Bye.